Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So in this video we are going to be making a shirt, and in the other video, my previous video, I showed you how to cut out this pattern, and we are going to use this pattern to cut out the shirt. So if you haven't seen that video, please go ahead and check that video out so you totally understand what we are doing here. So this is the back pattern, and I pinned it on fold and I just cut it out. So right here we have our back pattern out. So I'm going to cut out the front pattern. I'm going to fold my fabric into two like I did for the back, and I'm going to place the front pattern on it like so, and I'm going to make sure that the parts of the shirt align, all the patterns align on the fabric properly, and I'm going to pin it so my fabric will move around when I'm cutting on it. And I'm just going to cut it out, and I'm going to split it into two from the center front. Remember I told you that the front is going to be cut into two. So now I'm going to show you how to cut out the sleeve. At this point, you can decide whatever kind of sleeve you want, but for the kind of sleeve I wanted, I mapped out the length which I wanted, which was about 26 inches. And on this point, I'm going to mark on my biceps, that's my calf's height line. I'm marking out my armhole measurement, and I'm going to connect it to the shoulder line of the shirt. Just in case you do not understand how I'm cutting out the shirt, I have a detailed video on how to make a long sleeve shirt, and I'm going to leave the link in the description and on this video, so you go and watch that out. So you go and watch the video, okay? So on the wrist, I'm going to mark my wrist measurement, and then I plus 10 inches to that measurement because I'm going to be using sheer or smoky on the wrist of this shirt, okay? So I'm just connecting from the hem to the armhole measurement, and on the shoulder line I just curved it out and I'm going to cut it out. It's pretty very easy, okay? So I'm just cutting out the second sleeve, placing the first one on it. So after cutting, this is the sleeve that I have. As you can see, it's very big on the lower part. That's because I'm going to use an elastic thread to gather the lower part, okay? So this is the front of our shirt, and we're going to start sewing now. I'm going to fold it inward from the center front using the button placket that we added. So I'll fold it like this, and then I'll fold it again, and I'll take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to stitch on it from the beginning to the end, all right? And I'm going to do that to the two pieces for the front, and I'll come back and show you what I have. So this is what I have after stitching the button placket, and I also gave it a good press. You can see it looks fine and clean. Look at how the stitch is. I did this for both the two pieces of the front, okay? So this is what you want to go ahead and do for yours as well. All right, so this is the back. I also gave it a good press. I'm going to place the front on it right sides facing, and I'm going to make sure they both align on the shoulder, and I'm going to pin it down. I'm going to place the second front panel on the other side of the shirt as well, and I'm going to also pin it down. And after that, I'll take it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew on the shoulder, and I also close the side seam using the seam allowance I added. Okay, so this is the sleeve, okay? And I'm going to show you what the sleeve looks like. I have hemmed the lower part, and this is what I have for the lower part. So I'm going to show you how I took my measurement. First, I'm going to mark where I want the shirt to stop. That is the smoky effect. Excuse me. I want the smoky effect to stop at 4 inches, okay? And my wrist is 6.5 inches. So I'm just taking that measurement, and I added extra 10 inches. This was what I was explaining to you. So you have to add extra 10 inches to your measurement if you want to have the sheer effect on your sleeve. So right here, I'm going to show you how you can stitch on the to make the share. So what I did was to add my elastic thread on the lower part, as in on my bobbin, okay, and that's what I'm using to stitch this. The normal thread is on the needle part and the elastic thread is inside the bobbin case, okay. So I'm just stitching, and when you're stitching this part, you're going to use your hand to open it up as you're stitching, because the more you stitch, the more it's going to gather because of the elastic thread you're using, okay. So I'm just using my hand to open it up, and then I'll stitch. And remember that I marked out 4 inches for where I want this shirt to stop. So I'm going to stitch until I get to that point, and as you can see, I'm using my hand to open up the gathers that the smoky effect this has on the fabric, and I'm just stitching on it like that. So this is what you want to do for yours as well, okay. So after stitching it, this is what I have for the sleeve. You can see it's very beautiful, and I have the shirt right here. I have attached the shoulder, and the side seams have been closed, as you can see here. So what I want to do next is to show you how you can cut out your collar, okay. But first, this is the shirt sleeve. This is the sleeve, and you can see it's very, very beautiful. I'm already loving this, and I know you love it as well. If you've watched this video to this point, please give it a huge thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, okay. So at this point, I'm going to take the entire measurement I have on the neckline, including the button placket in front. So I'm just taking the entire measurement because I'm going to use that measurement to cut the collar. So as you saw there, I have 20 inches on my neckline, okay, and I'm going to use this interfacing to cut it out. As you can see, I also have 20 inches right there, okay. So I'm going to fold this into 2, and I'm going to use my pin to pin it down so that when I'm drafting the collar, it doesn't move, okay. So we're going to draft the collar and collar stand together. So in case you do not know how to do that, pay attention to what I'm doing. So folded into my interfacing is 10 inches. From the lower part, I marked 1.2 inches upwards, and I'm going to connect the points I just made into a straight line like so. So from the open side of my interfacing, I marked 1.2 inches inward like this, okay. And on that point where I marked 1.2 inches, I'm going to mark 2 inches. This is not a standard, it just depends on how you want your collar to be, okay. So from that place I marked 1.2 inches initially, I'm going to curve to the edge of the interfacing like so, and I'm going to connect that to the 2 inches I marked. And on the other side, I'm going to mark 2 inches as well. I'm just going to connect the points with my straight ruler like this. So to determine how you want your collar to be pointed, I'm going to mark 1 inch outwards, okay. From that first line I made, I marked 1 inch, and I'm going to slant that to meet the first line I made, okay. So if you don't understand what I'm doing, just follow if you don't understand what I'm saying, just follow what I'm doing. It's pretty easy. And this is our collar and collar stand ready. So I'm going to cut it out. Just follow the way I'm cutting it. I decided to cut it very slowly so you understand what I'm doing. So the excess I have on the upper part, I'm just trimming it out, okay. Alright, so I'm going to open this up to show you what it looks like. You can see the collar is set to be used. So I placed this on the wrong side of the fabric, and I left about 1 inch on the lower part, and I'm going to iron it out. So what you want to do is to leave about 1 inch on the lower part when you're placing your interfacing. And this thing is sticking to the fabric because you know it sticks. It's a gum stay. That's what we popularly call it here in Nigeria, gum stay. and it sticks to the fabric when you iron it. Okay, so it's already stuck to my fabric. What I want to do, that 1 inch I left on the lower part, I just flipped it towards the collar stand and I ironed it down. At that point, you can use your hemming gum to hold down that part on the collar stand. Okay, so I just flipped the remaining fabric inwards like so, and I'm going to flip it towards the collar stand again. Just follow what I'm doing. It's very simple, and I actually took my time to show you this part so you understand what I'm doing very well. Okay, so I'm just going to properly iron this, and like I said, this should be about 1 inch, and as you can see, mine is more than 1 inch. So I'm just going to trim off the excess I have on mine. Okay, so after trimming it out, you can see that the collar is already taking shape. What I will do next is to take it to the sewing machine and stitch all around, following my hand like this. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's go to the sewing machine. Let me show you. I'll just show you how you can stitch it on the sewing machine. So right here, I'm going to mark where the interfacing stop on the upper part, so I know where to start my stitch from. Okay, and I'm going to stitch round from the collar stand down to that point, and I'm going to turn it and stitch again, and I'm going to stitch on the upper part straight like this. Make sure you don't stitch your interfacing. Okay, just stitch just after it, just by it, very close to it, but not on top of it. So after stitching all around the pattern, this is what I have. I'll just cut it out. So I'm just trimming off the excess like this, and on the upper part, the excess I have, I'm going to trim it off as well. So I'm just taking my time to show you how to do this, because it's very easy if you pay attention and look at it closely. It's very easy. So I'm just trimming off the excesses I have on the collar. Okay, so after trimming it off, this is what I have. You're going to notch on that point, okay, that connects the collar to the collar stand. So I'm just going to flip it to the other side. Okay, so this is what I have for the collar. I'm going to use my sharp edge, that's my scissors, to push out the pointed part on from the inside. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going to go ahead. Okay, from the inside, you're going to cut out the pointy edge so that it will lie flat. Just trim it off and flip it over and give it a good press. So that is what I did for mine, and you can see this is already looking very beautiful. And I'm going to show you how you can attach this to your shirt. Okay, so I have brought back the shirt, and I'm going to make sure that the side that has the gum stays on the inside, and the side that doesn't have it stays on the back of the shirt. So I'm going to open the collar and put the neckline of my shirt inside, just the way I'm doing, and I'm going to stitch until I get to the end of the neckline of my shirt. So after doing that, I'm going to stitch my sleeve, and I'm going to fold it like this, and I'm going to stitch it using the seam allowance I added for the sleeve, and I'm going to attach it to the shirt. And after doing all of that, this is my shirt. As you can see, the collar is already attached and it's looking very beautiful and neat. You can see it is very neat and beautiful. And this is the sleeve as well. You can see everything looks very nice and beautiful. I hope you've gotten to this part with yours as well, and I hope you're following the tutorial. So what I want to do is to pin the neckline on the collar stand. I pinned it like this, and you can see this is very beautiful. I'm so proud of this project, and I'm going to mark 2.5 inches, and I'm just marking the points where I want my button and buttonhole to be. So I'm using 2.5 inches in between the buttonholes. So you remember to put your button on the left side and the buttonhole on the right side, okay? So that is what I did for mine. So I'm just going to put that, and I also hemmed my shirt on the lower part, and that's basically it on how to make a shirt. So the next thing is for you to do the buttonhole and attach your button, and your shirt is ready to be rocked. So thank you so much for watching this video. Till I see you next time. Bye.